Oh, he loved that idea. He said, I'm going to have to get one of these Bibles. So he didn't have a Bible of his own. He went to the International Bookshop or the Continental Bookstop. He said, do you have a German Bible? They said, no, but we can get you one. Oh, that's fine. Order one for me, my dad said, and let me know when it comes. Well, it came a few weeks later. They gave my dad a ring. He came by to pick it up until he saw how much it cost. He said, that much? It was a huge amount of money. My dad looked at the book, but my dad, being German, is a man of his word. Not that all Germans are, but my dad was. He was a traditional one, so he said, well, I promised I was going to buy it, so I'll buy it. And he started reading it, and he really didn't have too much of an idea of what he was reading, but he stuck with the good stuff, and that started a process. And then God remembered the words that my dad said. If there is a God, I want to see him. It was on the 6th of August 1978 when I was 7 years old. This is a photo from Google Maps of our property in central Victoria. Right in the middle is our house, and there's a bit of a shed there. Dad was slightly down from the house. I can always show you about right here. When he felt this enormous power just come over him that forced him to his knees. And my dad was trembling. This was very strange. He looked up, and it looked like there was a huge canopy just over the 20-acre property of my dad's. It was at that stage that my dad felt the power of God. He knew that God had selected him, that God had a purpose for him, that God would protect him and his family. He now had absolutely no doubt that there was a God. But you know something? God's revelation to my dad would not have happened unless he had started opening the Bible and reading it. Even though he couldn't really understand what he was reading, that fact of reading the Bible gave God permission to work in his life. And I am so glad that that happened. Let's have a look at my story now. I think it's cute. That's me. I had blonde hair. I had hair. It's always good looking back at those photos. This is me at 15 months, blonde, blue-eyed, lovable. The world before me. 2 older brothers trying to stop me. I grew up in a wonderful family, and here's a photo of my mum. As I said, she was tiny but tough. This mother of mine could concrete. This mother of mine could pluck chooks, dig holes in a garden. She could do just about anything. And when she gave you a love pat on the backside, it sent you in the next week. She was wonderful. She had 3 boys. What else can you imagine? She had to be tough. I grew up, as I said, my dad had his revelation of God when I was 7 years old. So I grew up in a Christian family. My mum was Christian. She believed in God, even though Dad didn't. And she taught us how to pray. And, you know, when I was going through high school, my mum really frustrated me. Because I remember her when I was probably 15 years old. She looked at me and she said to me, "Michael, I know what you're going to be when you grow up." I said, "Cool, what?" "I'm not telling you." I thought, "Mum, you don't tell me what I'm going to be and then not tell me. I mean, why are you keeping me in suspense here? You're not supposed to do this." But as time went on, as my dad, his relationship with God grew and he got to know God more and more, we started attending church. I started learning about God. God was convicting me. And I was convicted that God wanted me to be a church minister. And I remember the day going to Mum and saying, Mum, I think I know what I'm going to do with my life. I'm going to be a church minister. And Mum looked me right in the eye and said, I knew that's what you were going to be. I thought, you could have saved me all the hassle. You could have let me know. I felt God convicting me. I wanted to help other people. I wanted to share God with other people. You know, I had a pretty easy life. Well, whatever I put my hand to, I found it easy. I went to high school, I just breezed through the exams. Unfortunately, I was a bit lazy, so I only studied when the exams were on and just got a sort of a passing mark. When I went to college to study for theology, to be a minister, you know, I just sort of breezed through, and then I'd really cram when the exams are on because I had a really good short-term memory. And I just made it through. Life was easy. Life was going so well. You know, I was happy. Then I got married. That's not really the way it should come out, should it? When I was at college, I met my beautiful wife, Karina. And we dated for a little while, but hey, we knew that we wanted to get married, so we got engaged pretty quick, had a really, really long engagement. And then the day came, was actually in this church building in 1994, if my memory serves me right, on a very, very hot day of 43 degrees, and we did not have the air conditioners. That was the day when I stood in front of the minister and said, for better and for worse, I'm sticking with this woman. Well, it was only shortly after when I discovered that my wife Karina had a health problem which affected our marriage and made me miserable. And I couldn't fix it. I had no solution. And God wasn't helping me. My life was just a nice, smooth ride. Everything was fitting into place. But then this comes along. Something that was the most important thing in my life, my marriage, and I was hitting a brick wall. You know, should I stay with her? Was it such a big problem? Should I leave? But, you know, graduating and getting a church and being a minister, it doesn't really look too good if you decide to divorce your wife. So I plunged myself into work, trying to ignore the problems in marriage. This house here is where we moved to in a few years of my ministry. I started in Toowoomba, then I went to Dalby, Queensland, and this was our house of so many unpleasant memories. God was not coming through. Our marriage was getting worse. You know, I loved my wife, but at the same time, this health problem was just so frustrating to me. And it affected my life. The guys I was working for, because I was a minister, I had people I had to answer to, they looked at my work and said, Mike, what are you doing? And my wife had told me, I don't want you to tell them about what's happening here. And so I was like, I guess it looks like I'm not really doing much. Not being able to tell them that I had to be emotionally there for my wife. I needed to take care of pretty well everything in the household, as well as trying to do my work as a church minister, as well as trying to find some sanity in my life. And Karina's health got worse and worse. You know, this is how I felt without the smile on the face. I was trapped. I loved my wife, but I was not happy. I was miserable. I was a church minister, and so really divorcing wasn't an option.